Cool.
The only other thing that I did this week is that I did another round of Classic WoW with Ashley Roboto. Once again, wonderful lady. Had a great time hanging out with her. Don't know if we're going to be able to do a stream next week or the week after, but we'll plan something. And I got controller support working for Classic WoW.
Okay.
There's a add-on called Console Port, which just completely retrofits the interface and control system to have real controller support. Now, it is an add-on, it's not official, but it's better than what I had going with Guild Wars 2, so that's impressive. But fucking around with Guild Wars 2 and Classic WoW, I am reminded of something I kind of forgot about, which is that there's a part of MMOs that have kind of changed in the past decade, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that I am playing a massively multiplayer online game to play with other people, right? In a large, disconnected community, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I play FF14, nobody talks in that game. You're all talking with your buddies in Discord that you met to do a raid that one time. But like general chat in FF14 is dead. It is empty. Apparently, I was talking to people. Apparently, retail WoW is similar. It's not very chatty.
Huh.
But when I was playing Guild Wars and WoW Classic, I'm like, oh, hey, where is this thing? Because you're spending a lot of time in the open area instead of instanced zones. There's people in there.
Okay.
And they talk.
Well, if people aren't chatting with you in FF14, you could always stalk them. And then
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
You can always show up.
We'll talk about that in a bit. I don't know if that's news.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. That's what I'm getting at.
But it's like one of those things, and it's like anybody who played World of Warcraft on the Horde side from 2004 to 2008 or 9 remembers something called the Barons chat, which was the worst chat room you've ever seen in your entire life. It was one of those things that was accidentally designed to be the worst thing you've ever seen, in which Horde players were corralled into one zone called the Barons from level 10 to 30, which is crazy. That's an enormous amount of the leveling experience. And there were very few flight paths, which is the game's like transit hub kind of thing. So you were having to run all over the place to various disconnected parts of the zone all the time. So you were spending 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes just moving around from place to place for hours all night, which meant that since half the Horde population was in there, it was like 4chan just tunneled into a live chat.
Okay, it was B.
Dog shit. Was the most toxic meme Chuck Norris fucking pile of shit.
Wait, and so Alliance didn't have this?
They did not have it. Their zones were more split up. They didn't have a unified 10 to 30 zone. You usually have a 5-level zone or an 8-level zone. But because there was the North Barons and the South Barons, but they were all the same zone, you spent so goddamn long in there. You spent like a week, 2 weeks in there.
Okay.
And having this incessant pile of shit just running on the side of your screen while you were vibing to the music was awesome.
Okay.
It was great.
Okay.
It was way, way, way preferable to the general chat in any given Final Fantasy zone, which is nothing. Which is like literally nothing.
This is all very strange because my impression, given how I've seen not only my old roommates and stuff play WoW and stuff, but even just me touching Ragnarok Online for a second or going back to Grawl in the day, general chat is just a thing to be ignored completely as it runs, is the impression I thought most people were under. Like, you're not going to participate in that. You're going to go do the thing you're trying to do or meet the people you're trying to meet, but that's a fucking nightmare in all games at all times, no?
So it depends, because the main issue is that WoW has a very large open space to exist in. right? Like they're like you it takes a minute or two to run somewhere. Like there's just a lot of map that you're constantly traversing. And so your absolute dog shit Chuck Norris meme chat combined with actually seeing people playing the game alongside you and having the opportunity to ask them for help or offer to help them creates that MMO feel of you're playing a game with other people as like a disconnected, like simultaneous whole.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm like those, again, like my reference points are these random ones, but like Ragnarok, you get into that main area and it's just like, this doesn't, like, fuck that. I'm not, it's just,
I couldn't speak to Ragnarok.
Everybody's trying to sell some shit. Everyone's idling around the big middle, and it's just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. You're insane to stand around and try to parse information out of that. Get out somewhere else, a little less populated, and maybe, you'll have an experience.
When I was playing Guild Wars 2 earlier in the week, it was similar. That people in there were chatting in map chat, which is their general chat. And they would announce if a certain boss was up. And I asked a question in chat and it got answered, which is wild. I don't think I have spoken to more individual persons about the game or whatever in WoW and Guild Wars 2 over the past week than I did for the entirety of Endwalker.
Okay.
Like the 2-year period in Endwalker, because like, why would I talk? I mean, we're going to run an instance. We're going to run a dungeon. Don't talk. Why would you talk? Shut up. Just run the dungeon as fast as you can.
So, I would say that the battle hub in 6, right, in Street Fighter 6, it's
definitely
like
has that. It's that.
Yeah, it's just people coming out, getting salty, talking shit to each other, and you're like, wow, what happened there? That's crazy. Anyway, I am not interacting with it, but you just glance and chuckle to yourself.
You're completely right.
Yeah.
It is just like fighting games.
Sure.
Okay? Because the battle hub is like dramatically improved by that chat scroll going by.
Someone getting real salty.
Yeah, because it creates that situation. Because going to play, like, let's say I wanted to go play Shadows of Mystara at the arcade, right? It is more fun to play Shadows of Mystara at the arcade by yourself in a full arcade than it is an empty arcade.
Sure. Yeah,
the vibe is just better.
I get
that. Maybe someone will be like, "Can I hop on this with you?" Right?
And then you also occasionally see messages of just like, oh shit, like how do you block that setup, or some shit or whatever, and like people actually be helpful, and it's like, oh, that's nice too, but I do, every time I'm just thinking back to my roommates, like with like any of the bigger games and stuff, it was just, there was no interacting with that. You just stood around, waited for people to meet up, and then you went off and did your thing,
That's because they were in they're in the part of an MMO that caused me to stop playing FF14. Catching up is more fun than being current. Because being current is scheduling for people to hang out and doing hard content and all that stuff. Whereas catching up to the front is hanging out, doing things, chilling, vibing.
I'll
explore. Yeah,
that's not a hard, fast rule though, because while you...
obviously that depends on any particular person's level of enjoyment.
Because you fall into the category of MMO player that is like, again, like on the cutting edge of the content and what's going on, and like also doing stuff with your guild and I have I'd say I think I know more people that are social FF14 players than grinders.
Yeah,
I know more people that just meet up and chat and hang out.
Is that I talked to some of my FF14 people about this, and like the social FF14 players are also like disconnected from the rest of the game. Like everything in 14 is like segmented.
People are in their own groups with their own friends hanging out.
They're either in their own groups or they're in like designated locations. Right? Like, I mean, do you want to do like, you want to fucking cyber with a cat boy in the middle of town? Well, you're going to go to Limsa. Okay. That's where you're going to go.
So because of my tastes, I don't hate the idea of a game that is like asymmetrical single player, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
But if you want that group feeling, yeah, you're going to have these town square kind of moments.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I've played a bunch of MMOs now to some degree, and it's that vibe of being a person in a big community space, even if you're not talking to them, even if you're not interacting with them, like is something that I always knew was something that was kind of missing from 14, but like it's really put a pin on it playing Guild Wars and WoW, and it kind of makes me like I would like a new MMO to come out in WoW style that is not WoW. Can we do that? Can that NetEase Warhammer thing exist and be good? Can we do that, please?
Well,
that would be nice.
But I think for the same reasons you describe solo queuing in like Apex or any of these other games being hell, people want to hang with their friends more than they want what you're describing.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. The friends that I have in FF14 that have become since then like good friends of mine, because I've known them for 8 or 9 years and we've been hanging out every single fucking week, and I've hung out with them like in the States and whatnot, is because I needed people to run an alliance raid. So I went into looking for group, or I went into general, or I went into whatever. I was like, does anybody want to run this fucking thing and queue up? Instead of just using the auto duty finder, right?
But I don't
like
think
that kind of social situation is like significantly kneecapped by an automated system that you just punch in and get to the content really fast.
I do have a hard time imagining like a design team being like, oh, look at this bullshit scrolling nonsense toxic chat. Let's fucking go. We want that. Let's put the, you know,
I don't know. Street Fighter seemed to know what the fuck they were doing.
I feel it like I imagine the idea is that in their head it'd be like, oh, it'd be a helpful, you know, nice place where people can suddenly make friends where they didn't know they could, and you know, kind of encourage something that doesn't actually reflect what the player base vibes are like, you know. Huh. Well, okay.
It's fascinating. It's just like it's this straight. I'm totally in love with discovering or like feeling the vibes of like different social environments in different games.
Yeah.
That have like large multiplayer components. Well, they're so different. Street Fighter 6's Battle Hub feels like an arcade.
Yeah,
the shit talk and the discussion is very accurate to an arcade. Well, an American arcade.
Minus the part where you go outside and people are smoking and having a, you know,
having a spliff and chilling. You know they're smoking. They're just allowed to smoke in the arcade now.
Yeah, I guess so. But you got to have that, you know, that out front, like chilling and talking shit kind of corner, you know.
Would you like to buy some drugs? No, thank you. I'm good.
Someone snuck a couple PBRs in their backpack.
Dude, I was talking to Paige about this, about like, you know, places the kids hang out, because we got a boy. He'll go hang out in places we don't want him to, right? And I'm just like, man, my parents were totally right. That arcades that I wanted to go hang out were absolute shitholes. And people absolutely tried to sell me drugs. And when I would come home and be like, no, it was just, no, I just put, no. Like, oh, no, mom and dad were 100% on the ball with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking of that one up by Shadigi right near the bridge.
Oh yeah, dude, that place.
I know the one you're thinking of.
Grimier and shittier than you would expect for being in a suburb.
I mean, the one near me had its moments. There absolutely, like I said, there was the dogs that pulled up and the you know, trying to sniff around for the package drop that was nearby. But I feel as if it was kind of offset because there was an arcade, but then there were also there was a microplay and a comic store, which were also like you could go hang out there and play games for half an hour there too.
Yeah, the arcade in Shadowgate was attached to a bar. It was directly underneath a bar.
Yeah, 222.
Which is like, well, this is obviously going to cause trouble. It did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, no, when you and your clientele is kids after school and drunken adults going upstairs to be like, nah, I'm gonna play some NBA Jam though.
Teenagers with good fake IDs.
There you go as well.
That then go back down to the arcade to get super pissed about king throws.
Yeah, no, we had a little rotation of like microplay, arcade, and then comic book shop, and like people would kind of just bounce around between all three. you know, get a puts in and then like head back over and play a bit or go back to the foosball and one or the other. So you kind of spent like, it was like a block where you just kind of moved around the block after school.
I also have a wider topic on this where it's like, so you know the trap of it was better in my day nonsense?
Except it
Like,
never was.
Except it never was.
Yeah, the Norman Rockwell trap.
I do feel there is something that has been lost from literally all social video games because of the creation of Discord. It has made it really, really easy to do voice chat, like for raids or for comms. You don't have to get a TeamSpeak server or anything like that. But it has also enabled the absolute most dog shit scenario of, hey, how do I find out information on this topic? Join the Discord. By the way, we deleted that shit. It's gone. Like, can you just have a website? No? Fuck. Can you have a web forum? Can you have a web forum that this shit will stay up, please?
Yeah, I have to say, no. All the indie games I've booted up where it says join the Discord to stay up to date, I've like never clicked that button. I don't want to permanently add a clutter to my Discord side that I'm never really going to check and get pinged on here. Everybody, you know, that's not great. That's not great. A website you can at least go to, take a look at, and you know, yeah. The also the I'm remembering the time when we were laughing because Splatoon had no voice chat, and then when they eventually said, "Okay, get your phone and have it in your lap," and then
why not just use Discord?
And then pair the thing, pair your headset while you're playing. It was crazy, you know, because Nintendo's not going to shell out money for the servers or whatever, right? Now you're like, yeah, Discord completely deletes the need for all of that, and then
it also like,
you know?
it's inherently insular, and like I love talking with my friends, and I'm so glad that when I talk to my friends, I don't have to deal with the worst dog shit opinion I've ever heard in my life. Just go whoa right underneath. But sometimes there's value to that, because like I still think about like how the first interaction I ever had with Ultra David was him being like, the training stage has to stay. It's good for the players. And I'm like, that sucks, David. No one likes that. And like, if I was just chilling in my fucking...
He lost on that exchange.
Super fucking lost. Smart man, smarter than me? Yeah, right. Fuck the training stage. Love you, Ultra David. You're great. But...
Son of a bitch laughed. He laughed at my pulls, Pat. He laughed at my pulls. I was trying to get Makoto, and I got Agent, and he laughed at me.
You pull like shit. You pull like shit, loser. But if I had just been hanging out in my Discord, I would have just grabbed like a tweet and shown it to like my friends and be like, yo, check out this dog shit take by fucking Ultra David. Ha ha. And there would have been no interaction there.
Yeah, I guess so. I do think as well, though, that with the rise... Well, the fact that Discord drops right over your game also makes it extra easy.
I don't use that shit.
Oh, yeah?
I hate it.
Oh, okay.
I hate it.
I've used it a couple times and found it to be useful. Like when I did like, you know, like I think like, what was it, like Phasmophobia or like Among Us and shit like that. But I'm also I guess here's the ultimate thing is like we are on diverging paths because you are leaning into like, you know, social tweeting and chatting with people and keeping up and stuff, and I'm leaning away.
Yeah,
you know?
which considering our personality types is maybe the funniest thing that's ever happened.
I am leaning away aggressively to improve my day-to-day happiness, and it's working. So yeah,
what helped me is when I see everyone else be like dog shit and stupid, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm doing all right.
Okay. I'm just kind of like I'm enjoying life outside of this whole thing, you know. I felt what it was like to be too locked into it, and on all forms, on all accounts, you know, keep up with what I got to, but for the most part.
One other thing that I want to say about Discord is that certain games are like their balance has been like actively ruined by Discord.
How so?
And the number one that I can think of, easy, is Dead by Daylight. So Dead by Daylight has no voice chat or in-game communication of any kind during matches. because even if you play with your friends, you're supposed to not be able to talk to each other
because proxy,
and
right?
the game is based around that. And when you play with friends and you have a 4-stack and you are all in Discord, the killer in DBD does not have a fucking chance in hell.
Right.
They are so fucked.
Yeah. I mean, the difference between my only real experience with this, like I said, was in Overwatch and Apex queuing. But the difference between queuing in a group versus queuing in like getting matched up against like a group of people where there's like a bunch of solos and like 2 people together is insane. Just, we're calling out what we see everywhere. Pinging is unnecessary because you're literally just like, oh, behind us, here comes Star-Lord, whatever. You're just the level of communication and the improvement to the movement overall is impeccable. And like, I have seen teams coordinate on rivals sometimes in a way where I wonder if they're queuing together.
So if you're queuing together, you can only
other queued teams, right?
Together.
Yeah, that's usually the deal. That's what it's just.
If you are coming in with a
solos versus solos,
you're going to be matched around 6 stacks.
100%. That's what it ought to be. But I've had a couple games where the coordination was just impeccable. And I guess they were just like on top of it, but it felt like they were, communicating outside almost, But I guess.
Oh, you know what? There is a great post in our chat right now, and they point out League of Legends. So League of Legends and Dota, I believe, have in-game voice chat that no one will use. No one's sane.
Okay.
It's a lot more effective to use in-game voice chat in a MOBA. But don't ever let them talk to you. Ever, never, ever. Don't let anyone in League talk to you with their voice.
I mean,
are you insane? Yes, it's open mic night at the Minstrel Show.
I'm assuming I turned off voice chat. I'm assuming that's what happened because no one ever talks and I hear nothing, and I forget if I actually went and did that myself or if that's just because of the way it's.
I believe Marvel Rivals does have voice chat, and I also turned it off in a second. It was the first option I fucked on.
Okay, yeah. So it could be those games where just people using voice chat to communicate with each other.
And you set it to push to talk, and then you unbind the keybind, and then you drag that shit to 0 volume. And you're like, yeah, now.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's a very different experience of queuing together versus solo for sure.
Yeah, never talk to anyone in League of Legends. Don't do it. Just don't talk to them at all.
How about never talk to anybody ever under any circumstances?
Oh, sometimes it's nice.
Nah, I'm good. Like,
oh man, did you see?
Friends
there
only.
Was a thread. There's a thread on the subreddit, and it was about how the new season of League has made the game even more toxic.
Why is that?
Because there is now a first blood achievement that gives the person who gets the first kill an even bigger bonus than usual. So if you are the first person to die, the incentive for your team to go nuts on you is super high now. Even more than normal.
God, just, man, what a fucking crash course in here's a list of reasons why I don't play video games. Here's that's crazy. That's great. Cool, very cool.
Yeah, that's it for my week this week. If you want to see more of my crap this week, you can go down to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. Tomorrow we're going to be playing Marvel Rivals and Smite 2. That's going to be a sponsored stream. And the remainder of the week is going to be Metal Gear Solid 2. We're going to try and beat it. If the Nintendo Switch 2 has a direct on Thursday, then I will move shit around to accommodate that. But who knows?
I'm surprised, speaking of banning characters, that there hasn't been a game where the team could just vote to kick the person on the team off the team.
Oh, there's a lot of games you can do that.
Can you? Can you just go like everyone votes, get rid of this person?
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
And but what
As
happens
a
is that
feature?
you end up reporting somebody who is bad at the game.
Sorry. I don't mean for abuse. I don't mean reporting. I mean as a game feature, remove this team member from the team. I mean,
any game that has a server, you can kick them off the server.
Okay. I'm specifically talking about as a intended game feature and not as a report for toxicity or bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a incredibly common feature that is in hundreds of games.
Oh, really? Okay, then I have not encountered it.
Yeah, if you're in my party, get the fuck out of here.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what this whole conversation makes me think of? How fucking Dark Souls. Oh no, that's not the name of that game. Elden Ring Nightfall is a solo or 3-player game. Like, I remember seeing those trailers and seeing people talk. Oh, please don't be fucking mandatory. Don't make it Dark Souls Apex Legends, please. It's like, no, you can play it solo. It's Night Rain, not Nightfall. Oh my god, there's too many.
Okay, looks like it's a standard feature, and in most cases, you are kicking people instead of reporting them. Gotcha.
Like, the number one reason I kick people in FF14 out of my party is they disconnected.
Right, that makes sense.
It's like I need to replace you. Bye.
Huh? Online video games. What a novelty.
It's so strange. It's so strange
I don't
to have
care.
this talk with you.
I don't care.
That's not true.
Okay, all right.
You don't even believe that when you say it, because online video games includes fighting games.
Of course. I don't care about communicating with the other people. I care about just jumping in and playing against them. That's kind of what I mean.
You just want to fight against hyper intelligent robots.
The entire discussion around the communication aspect of this more or less falls on like I'm not trying to look for that when I want to play a game online with other people. I kind of just want to play, you know. It's just, I don't know. I get it, but that's why I'm not going to know about that feature. I don't know what to tell you. You know?
Well, I'll keep filtering in information about this genre into the podcast for at least a couple more weeks, probably.
Gotcha.
Until I get tired.
Okay.
What's going on with Woolie over in Versus Land?
Not a ton. God. No, it's just it reset the clock. Woolie's an alien, you know.
Woolie, this is a strange discussion.
Oh yeah.
'Cause usually I'm the alien. Like in most scenarios, I'm talking to my wife or my parents or you or any of my friends are like, why are you like this? You're so weird.
But it's very straightforward in that it's just like what I want out of video games is sometimes in diametric opposition to what the majority of others are looking for. The experience I'm seeking is sometimes completely the opposite of what everybody's looking for. That's it. And I'm used to those. I'm like, I gotta go, okay, right, it's me. It's a me thing.
There is a genuine reason for this. I could anticipate, which is you are extraordinarily comfortable exploring a third space in meat space. So you have your 3 spaces, which is
your third space here, and then
work or education,
and then Starbucks.
And then either Starbucks or the bar
third space
or the club or a bookstore, whatever.
Sure.
And you are very, very comfortable going out into strange and new meat space third spaces, such as the fighting game meetup.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the fighting game community meetup with everyone's meat there, you are engaging in this behavior. You're just face to face.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas I don't want to deal with people's physical proximity, smell, or eyesight. I just want them to be comfortable little text boxes. And so I find it much easier and much more comfortable to engage in that third space via a chat window.
Yeah, I guess so.
Stop saying meat.
I think as well, like whatever the game is, because like even if I'm playing a match locally at a meetup of some kind, and if someone was like bugging me, you know, while that was happening, I'd be like, okay, I'm trying to play. I don't want to, you know, and that kind
That's different too.
Yeah.
Like, cause like, listen, if someone is being a stupid shithead in your favorite online game, your options are leave, ban, block, mute, right? But you're missing the best option of all, which is standing up, turning around, going, yo, shut the fuck up.
Right.
And making everything kind of weird, and everyone stares at you and the person, and the incentive for them to shut up is really high.
Yeah. Okay. And then that pause has to play out pregnant as it is for a minute. Yeah. And then everyone goes, ooh, ugh. Oh,
all right, back to this, and then that person's either going to escalate or calm down.
Or I mean, chances are not escalate, but then everyone else goes, "Yo, what the fuck with that dude?" Right? Yeah.
He kept Z targeting my colostomy bag, and I don't like that. I want my colostomy bag to be left alone. Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess the nature of the conversation as well also highlights that like a new experience or new online thing will come out, and like sort of the social aspect of it will be what you're going to seek out for some people. Like I mentioned, like some of my friends are social FF14 players that are going to hear about a new online experience where the social element is like worked into everything, and they're like, cool, I'm looking for that out of the game. And for me,
there's also a second part to that, which is the social element in a brand new game is always a dice roll, and it is always fascinating to see how it rolls out. And one of the things that like Marvel Rivals has shown is that Marvel Rivals is a free-to-play game that appeals to the lowest common denominator of Marvel fans, that you can play on Steam, where you can change your name to anything. So it has the worst usernames of any game I have ever seen, and that is awesome. Just the absolute worst fucking usernames I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible.
I guess if I was and you have to like pay a ticket cost to rename yourself or whatever. Anyway, whatever. Not much else to it. But I guess I'm thinking like if I was like, you know, I don't know, playing me some Devil May Cry, and then I had to, the only way to do so was to be like in a chat room with people kind of like with text scrolling by the side. And then like other people are like part of the experience, but not really. Like they're like the co-ops levels and stuff. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm here to play the game. And
I have to admit,
that element of it is kind of like it's not adding. I can just play and enjoy it on my own, but it can detract depending on how bad that gets, you know?
I mean, I have to tell you, though, there is something that I forgot about during this conversation, and that is level of patience and level of tolerance. Because you and I actually, regardless of our personal preference and what games we want to play, do spend a significant amount of our time playing games with an absolutely piece of shit text scroll to the side of the screen. Just the worst, just the dumbest shit you've ever seen. And unlike these other situations, the ability to not interact with that is not available.
You just, oh my God, you've never been more right. I'm oversaturated with
get
this.
It all the time.
This is not special to me. This is not unique. I'm oversaturated with it. My experience is not a default one. That makes, you're super right, dude. It's completely, that's a huge part of it. Yeah. If I was not getting that in any other way, it would be very different. But because it's the regular, it's not at all. Yeah.
Because like I'm at this place there are certain people that I recognize from my chat, and I'm seeing them like their name pop up, and I'm like, I am so ready for the worst opinion I have ever seen.
Okay.
Like I'm so excited. Like, this is
I
the
am-
same
I
like,
am
mentality
cooked.
that me and Paige both have, where we're like, oh man, tell me about your cult, please.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
yeah, the Earth. Oh, the ice wall. Absolutely.
You're hearing
Right?
my opinions on gaming and all that stuff are filtered because of the experience I have, which involves usually there being a scroll of opinions.
Yeah.
That's 100%
It's like,
affected
why
it.
would I play a game where I can enjoy the peanut gallery, where I'm being forced to hang out with the peanut gallery for fucking 18 hours a week?
God. I mean, you should Cyberpunk. I'm playing and I'm doing the offline missions and shit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm running around having a decent time, and that there's the on time and then the off time, and it's a different experience,
And Cyberpunk's so perfect for this because you can just be like, well, this is a mandatory ad for your eyes. Is this fucking text scroll? It has to just go. It's like you got your eyes discount. And this is the price you pay.
I mean, there were some real hilarious moments. So I'll just take the baton here and switch it over. But playing, so playing Cyberpunk this last session, I mean, I was kind of just rolling, and then Reggie was the one who stepped in and went, "What the fuck?" and just started going ham on people because it was like, okay, there's overall an understanding of main missions, and then the different some fixer gigs. Side jobs, but overall there's a priority list of what's worth doing and what's not worth doing, and there's just a whole lot to it.
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing.
But there was in particular, there's a moment where it's okay, leaving the apartment, it's oh shit, stop, there's a side mission that
there's so much
that you can only get with your neighbor right now that might be gone if you wait too long. And it's okay, what are we doing? Does it have to be right now? Yeah, okay, all right.
It has to be right now.
Has to be right now. And then you go in and then you start it up and you talk to some cops, and then you go, and then it's all right, which door? That I took a second, I wasn't sure which door. It's okay, the one there in front of, all right, let's go to that one. And then went in and then great. Tried to talk to some guy. All right, cool. Nothing, come back later. And it was okay, come back later, but not too much later, because if you wait too long, then it's going to be got. So you have to just, okay, all right. So, came back later enough in the time to get an answer, went in, had a cool conversation with the character, seemed like a pretty good side mission. And then walking out, it was all right, well, the logical thing was, after talking to him, the cops that told me to send him to go speak, they're over there. So let's go finish off the quest. And I went and started talking to them, and it was no, don't go talk to them. You're supposed to go somewhere else, and you're supposed to find another path before, because otherwise that might make a bad ending for the quest. And it's oh, it didn't do that. And it's because you're supposed to highlight the quest in the map to make sure that that there's an alternate path to go, instead of just going to the direct quest giver waiting outside the door.
There is
okay, well,
this is the threat. This is the threat. And
yeah,
I felt really bad for anybody who streamed Undertale not at release, anything other than the day it came out or the week it came out. Because I remember when Matt and Liam were playing it, and they killed Toriel, and the fucking backlash on that was the most outrageous fucking shit ever, to the point where they had to start over, and awful. And I remember when Paige streamed Undertale. She was handling that, and I just took this box right here and I put it over here, and I'm gonna handle that.
Oh yeah,
because the level of backseat nightmare was even from well-meaning chill people was so intense.
Undertale is particularly insane because of the fact that RPGs are about fighting bosses and beating them.
Not this one, dumb idiot.
Yeah. And also, it's a lightning rod, stream / LP, where it's
you killed my comfort character,
and I care more than the average viewer. And also, I'm someone who doesn't actually regularly show up. I just show up because of this thing. So I don't really care about your shit. I'm just here, and I have these strong opinions, and I'm, and you're just out of place ultimately. And you're right. I'm right. Okay. You. It's the worst version of it, unfortunately.
This is so. There were a lot of reasons I stopped playing BG3 in Act 3. One was that LP took so much longer than I thought it was gonna, but the tipping point, like the final tipping point, was going into Baldur's Gate, the city itself, and dealing with the most incessant, no, you have to bring this character to this room because they have a special interaction, like every single 10 feet was like, no, you gotta swap out a star, no, you gotta have Shadowheart,
no, that's what you got in your playthrough because you were using those characters.
I was spending like more time talking to chat and like figuring out who I was going to roll forward the next 10 feet with in my party, and then retrofitting the party and then getting them up to gear. Then I was like listening to people talk, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
And I mean, the result in this particular instance I'm describing was one where like the back room, so to speak, the war room, rightfully we're just like, all right, chats doesn't know what they're talking about, just emote only. And I was like, hold on, what is actually happening right now? And I said, hold on, let me see, like, no, turn it back on. And it was like, you've started the conversation, but walk away. And it was like, go back and talk to them, and maybe there's a way to save the fact that it's already started down this bad path. And then it was like, no, you couldn't. And it was like, okay, so they were correct for just going, you guys are like, there's people that are like, I'm remembering the game before 2.0 happened and are making things or calls based on the unupdated version of the game. There's like,
that's my favorite.
It's a lot. It is a lot, and like, so there's overall a thing of like, I kind of walked away from that going like, okay, so, there are moments where, like, don't go too fast through some of these quests, right? But the whole thing is that this game is so long that you do have to choose how to progress and make calls, and you can't.
It's a big boy.
And you should not, and you can't take too long on your calls. You got to move, right? In fact, not moving quickly enough is also what results in Jesse Cox getting killed, because I do the side quest where you got to drive him because his balls are on fire, and I'm pulling up to the stop, and I swerved a bit too slow, and it was a mission with an invisible timer. Didn't know. And he's gone. And it was like, oh, try to save NPCs. And it's like, well, I'm gonna do what I can as I play the game. Anyway, so it was like a wild kind of like, go fast but not too fast, slow down here but not too slow, know when to roll hold him, know when to fold him.
Probably his dick burned off.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, we're just when especially with that apartment one with the neighbor.
I didn't think the Jesse Cox beef was gonna end up with you letting his dick burn down, but I mean, here we are.
Yeah, well, he made fun of my Revengeance lightning sword decoration that one time. So
he did. I did.
On co-optional, I had the Revengeance pre-order sword with the lightning Tesla zap thing.
Yeah,
and he's just like, you got like a lightning dildo that back there behind you? I was like, no, Jesse.
Now your dick's on fire, bud.
No, it's a Revengeance pre-order merch. God damn it!
Don't make fun of my anime wall scroll.
Right?
Come on.
But anyway, no. But it was particularly funny because I kind of am like, okay, there are going to be great quests that it's got you juggling hoops because like your neighbor, that's a pretty cool quest with the guy, but it's like, and bad outcomes are just gonna be like, they're just gonna happen, and it's been made, and like sometimes it doesn't, you're not gonna have a rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, stop, pay attention, make sure you don't miss the obvious cue. And then other times it's like, well, at this point, it's been made evidently clear just by the amount. It's like, did you send the body back to Vic? Damn, that sucks. You're going to miss out on a cool thing, because if you didn't do that, then you would have gotten the cool thing. But it's like, yeah, I guess I just didn't think sending the bullet-riddled body back to the family and dropping it on his mom's front lawn would be the best move. Maybe Vic could do something there, but it's like, it doesn't matter.
You don't know what different families want with bodies.
Doesn't matter. Bad decision, bad content. Here we go. And it's like,
why aren't you any good at Cyberpunk, you stupid idiot?
You can't go blind. You can't go blind and have that experience where you get it all. You just can't. Yeah, and you know, and I will say that, like, admittedly, you know, imagine double blind like Souls for the first time, right? Like, you're gonna be like overwhelmed probably and relying on outside information to make sense of everything, unless you've you know, been intimately familiar with the genre before. But it was particularly funny to have just this instance of, like, you know, the quest end giver right there that felt like a logical thing to do was actually too comfortable of a turn to make. You know, that was the and
you know what, man?
you know, these handfuls of decisions that are just like, yep, they seem normal in the time, but they're actually the heaviest decisions ever.
You know what, man? It's all worth it. You know what it's all worth it for? That moment that someone tells you something that's just like completely wrong, and then you click a button, and then the description of that thing is like in big text on the screen in a way that's impossible to not read. And you're like, is it? Is it? Like, every time I go to the Battle Pass and Marvel Rivals on stream, someone goes, you just need to unlock the costume. Just unlock the costume now. And I just like slowly read out, you must unlock all items on this page before unlocking the costume.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. It's like, oh, I get up in the morning for this shit.
Because it turns out some pages you can just buy the costume, but other pages you can't.
Yeah, the costume at the top.
Yeah, that's it.
Can.
So but yeah, I've had that same moment of like going like, oh, how come I can't? Well, weird. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a back and forth. It's a back and forth.
Shit. What was I gonna say? Anyway, yeah. No, there's. Fuck me. Something else about Cyberpunk, but I think it's gone.
Yeah, it'll come back. You're playing a bunch of that game.